going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Yes, we're back at the usual time, mostly on time. Thank you very much. When we're properly motivated, we can get shit done. That's all I'm saying.
I was motivated today.
I know we were both motivated, because we both have schedules to keep tomorrow. So we're trying to do this on as on time as possible. So here we are at as close to the time that always appears on our digital set, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
But both me and Robert have schedules tomorrow, so we're trying. So we did our very best. We met 15 minutes early and got everything. Well, we ran into a little technical difficulties in the setup, and so we're ironing those out. And hopefully, the stream will go as smoothly as it can go under the circumstances.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. But yes, thank you for joining us again. If this is your first time, both Robert and I are hosts of the Circle of Jerks podcast, where we have, guests on, usually our friends, and we just kind of, shoot the shit. And we started this live stream a couple years back to basically fill the gap in content, because we actually stopped doing the main podcast so we can get equipment, and after but we were doing this live stream for so long, it was actually we actually started to enjoy doing that, and it became just became a thing on our channel.
Yeah, this is actually, this is what we do the most, obviously, because sometimes the scheduling gets a little bit difficult for the main show.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that's not stopping anytime soon. But
no, of course
not. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. I definitely have a lot of fun, especially once we started doing like the movie reviews and stuff like that. Like it just it gives me something.
Yeah, because initially this was like we were literally just live streaming so we could have content to have on the channel, and so we could be the, when you think of Circle of Jerks podcast, you think of us, because there are other Circle of Jerks podcasts on YouTube, or at least different channels on YouTube, but now I think because we made so much content under that name, that when you put in Circle of Jerks podcast, we're the first ones to show up.
Yeah, I do notice that now when I look up our channel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. Hey, it's when you look us up, we're number one.
I know, right?
we're not on like page 2 or where no one's gonna go.
Yeah, exactly. Because no one looks on page 2. But that's kind of nice. Having a brief introduction. Because I guess we shouldn't take for granted the people who who watch this either live or later in archive. Every once in a while it's good to bring up to speed some people who may just have, find our live stream or whatnot.
Yeah, we're always very happy when you guys show up, you watch the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You comment, you interact. If you're on the live stream, you interact with us. We like that too.
We do read comments here.
Yeah, and like I said, the movie portion is definitely like my favorite part of it. Yeah, but like it's fun.
It just kind of happened organically, because like I was about to say, we started the stream just kind of like us hanging out, filling each other on the day. What news we heard or whatever, and then we just started talking about movies, because both me and Robert are I guess you can say we're cinephiles.
And I've definitely become one.
I enjoy storytelling. That's what it was, and movies is the most popular medium for storytelling. So that that's why I gravitated towards film.
I think
And
I think because what if I remember correctly, I think it's because we like a lot of the new Star Wars stuff was coming out, and so we were talking
ah,
about it, and I think that's
mhm,
like kind of where it started. And then I was like,
right.
well, let me. And I had realized that what, I'm not really as I don't really have a lot of movie knowledge.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, what are the great classics that I've missed? And so I went, I looked at the AFI top 100 list. I was like, okay, okay, I've seen this, but I wanted to like get through that list. And
Hmm.
it's like, because to me that's that's it's kind of like the best books of all time.
Right.
You gotta look at the classics.
Hmm.
And so I started doing that. We talk about it, and honestly, like even on like our off time, on our like Instagram chat or whatever, we're talking movies. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's funny because the other friend that we talked to about movies, he's saying it's like, because for me, I'm like, it's only been a few years, but I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge just from talking about movies, watching them,
Hmm.
and kind of just like, oh, have you watched this? Have you seen this? Why don't you try this? And in that time, I've gained so much knowledge, and I feel like I've only really scratched the surface.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
I've
Yeah, no, it
definitely
wasn't
become.
until we had Eric on that I we're doing the reviews before that, but when we had Eric on, like that's when like we started like really got into the movies,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and yeah, and then I think more and more like we made the movie review part of the live stream.
Yeah, that's when it really became solidified. And I was like, okay,
Hmm.
well, let's do that
Yeah.
because I love talking about movies. And hell, now even like my off time, I'm listening to podcasts about movies just because while I'm at work sometimes, like I'm kind of sometimes kind of working by myself anyways. So
Hmm.
while I'm working, I'm listening to stuff on movies, and I've gained a lot of knowledge through that. And it's just so yeah, I gained some inspiration. It's like, hey, let's check out this movie. That sounds pretty awesome. I haven't watched that yet.
Hmm. Yeah. If anything, yeah, what the live stream and the podcast have done is got me to check out like the Japanese cinema or
Yeah, I've been diving pretty heavy into that.
hmm.
Um, I haven't gotten like, I mean, obviously I've always kind of watched Korean movies
Hmm.
somewhat. Um, because obviously I hang around a bunch of Koreans all the time. I'm
Yeah,
married to one.
you married one.
Yeah. Um, so maybe we'll do like a Korean month too. Like we should do that.
Mm.
Um, and then what else? I mean, like I said, recently I've been really going hard after westerns, which is why we're doing a western month.
Hmm.
Um, and I like I said, there's just I don't think we'll ever get to. There's always going to be movies for us to watch. Good movies, bad movies, mediocre movies. I honestly, I'd rather almost have a bad movie than a mediocre movie, because at least,
Right, because you want the extremes. You want it to be like really amazing or really crappy.
yeah, because
Uh,
sometimes really crappy is awesome.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Samurai Cop. Anybody?
Yeah. Though that is not the worst movie I've seen. I think that probably goes to either Birdemic or Santa Claus versus the Devil.
Santa Claus versus the Devil.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to watch that together.
Okay,
It is awful, but it's gloriously bad.
it's gloriously bad. Exactly what I wanted to hear. Yeah, but yeah, we got all that in store for you tonight. Well, actually, tonight's movie review is kind of a twofer because I know there's only one title in the description, but we're actually, we're gonna be kind of double reviewing True Grit, the original and the remake. Maybe I should put that delineation in the
Yeah,
title. I'll do that later.
yeah.
but yeah, we'll be reviewing both of those movies, the original from the 1960s and also from the 2010s, I believe.
I think it was. Yeah. Yep. It came out December 22nd, 2010. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just at the tail end of 2010.
Yeah, it was one of those Christmas movies.
Yeah, I know, right? Real like pick me up. Real heartwarming and inspirational.
Yeah. Hey, there was snow, so maybe it was Christmas. Maybe this is a Christmas
right?
movie.
I know it was at the very least winter. It was at the very least winter. Um, yeah. Also, because we kind of stayed away from like the whole inauguration and whatnot. So we'll be I guess we'll be giving our takes on that, as well as I guess they found I guess they found the cure for coronavirus, because things are starting to open up, not just here in sunny Southern California, but in other parts of the country as well.
Is it? Does it? It's miracle. It's like they now it's we're coming out.
I know, right?
Just.
I know. It's just like it's just it's like as soon as Joe Biden took the office, it's like like his arms like reached were reaching out to Americans, and just giving all of his good vibes and giving him and like good vibes, I guess, is the cure for coronavirus.
Oh yeah, it's just like, well, it's all these insufferable media members, journalists, pundits who are like, oh, like they're just waxing poetic about Joe Biden and the.
Well, they're waxing something.
Yeah, and it's just about how it's so great to have science back, and all these it feels like we're coming out of this horrible regime. Just for fuck's sake, it just come on, like really.
I hope they were wearing knee pads.
Yeah. No, I think
it gets rough on the knees. I mean, not that I know, but what I'm told. Yeah, it's just God. It was someone, I forget who, but someone compared it to like the propaganda of North Korea, where it's like, oh, Kim Jong Un, sprang forth from the tears the tears of a unicorn, and blessed North Korea with his with his magnanitude or whatever. It's just like, oh, jeez.
It's like, shut up. Oh.
Yeah.
It's what I forget what it was from, but like, or what this was a reference to. But one of my favorite shows, I've mentioned it several times on the podcast, is Mystery Science Theater 3000. Mm-hmm. And there's always like sometimes like these scenes of like from the certain characters, like where like from the movie that they're watching, where it's like they're just going on this long dialogue stream, and it's just like. It's boring. It sucks. And they were like, "Shut up!" Like it's and they do it like it's like one of those recurring gags. It's just like that's how I feel when I listen to like the legacy media. It's just like, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, even like I admittedly, I haven't been watching as closely to like the White House press conferences or whatever, but I remember one.
They're definitely more boring.
Yeah, they're definitely more boring. Like the one Fox News guy is the only one that like kind of tries to ask like pertinent questions. Like when what is it? Joe Biden signed the mask mandate, but it's like completely meaningless because it was only for when you're on federal lands or federal property. But then he points out the fact that Joe Biden broke his own executive order because there's multiple images of him like on federal property, more specifically on the Lincoln Memorial without a mask.
Yeah, so it's like, but remember, like as we've mentioned many times before, it's rules for thee, but not for me. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, all this like stupid stuff, like day one of my presidency, I'm gonna do this and that, and he's like, other than like destroying, tens of thousands of jobs, sure.
Right.
a lot of the shit, like, it doesn't. It's just it's it's kabuki theater. It means nothing. It's just it's
Yeah, I mean, I know, dude. I'm just as frustrated and annoyed by all of this as well. I like what was it? Oh, like I'll let me get back to this one point. Like yeah, in the press conference, like one of those hack journalists in the White House press briefing room asked if you know Biden was going to keep the color scheme of Air Force One. And then the press secretary is like, "Oh, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked
no, it's
that."
not.
And I
It's
was
a
just like,
terrible question.
"That
It's
is,
like when they asked Barack Obama, what has what is this office like? What wonders about the office do you have? It's like, what does this have to do with anything? I don't care. I don't honestly like. I literally don't care what the president thinks. Like, just yeah, it's it's so annoying. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's funny. This one, the one of the movie podcasts I listen to is like, the guys are, very, they're left wing. I'll
uh-huh.
admit that. Like, but it's the thing is though, they realize like how like awful the media is. Like even like they're like, CNN and all these is like they know they suck. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, you know what? Like I can respect that. We might have
Right,
different.
calling out their own, which
Yeah,
is
it's like we might
which
have
is
different.
fine because we're me and you are towards the right, but we call out Fox News all the time, or we call
Washington sucks.
yeah
They're honestly they're not even like right wing either. Like they're just they suck.
yeah. I mean more than anything, they're a bit more neocon ish,
I
you
mean,
know.
which is it's the same. It's the two sides of the same coin, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, so we had no problem calling out our side, either. But just yeah, God, the questions. Oh my God, the questions.
Are you gonna change the drapes in the Oval Office? Are you gonna change like the carpet and it's like who the fuck cares?
I know. Um. Oh God, you made me lose my train of thought. Oh, but yeah, there's been a lot of buyer's remorse going on. Like, I was on Instagram, and a lot of conservative or right leaning accounts that I follow. There's like sharing screenshots of people's Twitters, like basically saying it's like, oh shit, I didn't know Joe Biden was gonna do this. It's like I'm
We've
like the
been
what?
saying it for fucking months. It's God.
Yeah, I mean, like if someone tells you who they are the first time, believe them. And Joe Biden said, like, yes, I'm gonna end fracking. And then, when that wasn't, trending very well, he's like, oh no, what are you talking about? I never said that we're not gonna. It's
Yeah,
like I didn't say that we're gonna end fracking.
we're not
No,
just saying
no,
that you're tracking. It's like I mean these guys are. It's just we've been saying it for months. I mean even after like the second debate, people were like, oh fuck, can I change my vote? Oh yeah, now you see like what we've been talking about, like, and it's just because you watch too much, fucking MSNBC and CNN, where you're getting all the propaganda, the sweet highlights, like that make you feel good about yourself, and
yeah,
it's like, oh,
or just straight up lies because
that's
they
I
just
mean,
won't cover it.
yeah, I mean that's the other part. It's either by omission or just outright like just horrific lies. It's just,
Hmm.
and it's like now you're seeing the truth. It's like, yeah, no shit. We've been saying it for how many months? Almost like 6 months. And
Yeah,
I
I
guarantee
mean,
you that this guy is not going to make it 6 months in the presidency, and it's going to get so much worse.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. At the most, though, that they're gonna try and get at least 2 years out of him.
I mean,
But I mean, I know he's so decrepit and and
they're going to
deteriorating.
weaken at Bernie's this guy. I mean, I have a feeling that he is going to disappear. Like they'll talk about him, they'll have stuff, but he's not going to be super prominent.
No, I have a feeling that like they filmed a lot of stuff beforehand, so then they could like then roll it out, as needed. So it's like, oh, like where's Joe Biden been? Oh, like he was at Camp David, or oh he was up out with his family up in Delaware or whatever.
Yeah,
They're
no,
gonna
I
yeah
don't.
they're gonna use like either they're gonna recycle footage or they're gonna like or they maybe film some like stuff in advance.
That would not surprise me, to be honest. And
Yeah,
that's fucking creepy, to be honest.
yeah. No, they're gonna pull a Dave maybe.
God.
And for those of you who don't know what that reference is, it's a movie from the '90s where the president suffers some sort of medical thing, maybe a stroke, and then they find a lookalike to stand in for him.
Yeah, I mean, when
And
you made that reference, like, oh god, I haven't seen that in forever.
yeah, but it's so weird because it's like kind of what they're trying to do right now because they essentially have like this Dave character because like the plot of the movie is like they're gonna get him in and pretend to be the president and I forget who it was like someone on like the actual president's staff was kind of like pulling the strings
Yeah.
and like making all the decisions for him and he just had to go out there and sell it to America. Uh, but I mean, that's essentially what they're doing with the Joe Biden because Joe Biden is not making any of the decisions.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, it's. I would not be surprised if it's really Kamala Harris that's making the decisions.
I mean, part of me doesn't even think it's Kamala Harris making decisions either because I think they're both puppets.
You think they're both puppets?
I think they're both puppets.
Mm.
I mean, because freaking Kamala Harris said that she believed Biden's accusers, and then when it was her time to be vice president and Miss Sister Vice President, she was all about that, and like she was like saying, she even said in an interview with freaking Stephen Colbert, it's like, oh no, it's debating, debating tactic. It's like, oh, so you don't believe in anything, basically, is what
Well, I
you're
mean,
saying.
I've known that for a
Yeah,
long
no, but
time.
it was like the first, it was like she was admitting the truth. It's like, oh, you know, even Stephen Colbert like kind of asked her that. It's like, oh, so you didn't actually believe what you were saying? Like, it's like, no, it's just a debate tactic.
I mean, and that's pretty much as hard hitting a question as Stephen Colbert will ever ask.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I was actually kind of surprised he even asked that.
Right?
I was like, wow, actually, a follow up question. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I mean, at that point, like that should have like totally destroyed the whole concept of like the Me Too movement or the Times Up movement or whatever, or the Pound Me Too.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Just it's so. I mean, this is this. Well, I mean, who knows how many like people actually really voted for him? Who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
this is what you get, people. I mean,
Oh no,
when
no, no, Robert. He was the most popular president ever. He was even more popular than Barack Obama, the first black president. No, Joe
yeah,
Biden. No, Joe Biden's way more popular than Barack Obama. Come on, you not remember all the cool like young Joe memes back in the day? Come on.
yeah. Maybe I missed that. I guess I missed it.
Jeez. Yeah,
It's
but no, serious buyer's remorse. Well,
to be honest,
especially
like
especially like I have no sympathy, especially for those people who only voted for Joe Biden because he wasn't Donald Trump. I have no sympathy for those people. But the other people
well, I
who
don't. And
just
honestly, like
voted like strictly for vote Joe Biden because they thought that yes he would make a better president. Okay, I can respect that. But the people who merely voted for Joe Biden because he wasn't Donald Trump, I have no sympathy for you.
no, I have no. It's like, well, if you hate it, well, hey, you know what? That's your own fault.
Mm-hmm.
You voted for the guy.
Yeah, strictly on the basis that he wasn't the political candidate that you didn't like
Yep.
for purely personal reasons. Nothing
Yep.
to do with like his record or what he's actually done while in office. It's just like you don't like who that guy is personally, and so you voted against who that guy was, not because you thought the other candidate was better. So no
Right.
sympathies for those people whatsoever. Especially so
Yeah, I don't like what I don't just vote for somebody just because of like, oh, I don't because I don't like the other candidate. Although it was I when I voted for Trump in 2016, it was not only because because obviously Hillary was just awful,
Hmm.
but it's like, but no, it was like I actually liked what he was planning. Like, I was like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like it's not as though like because again I didn't like Hillary either, and I didn't just vote for Trump because he wasn't Hillary. He I wasn't even a Trump supporter at the beginning. He
he won me over.
he persuaded me over the course of the campaign. Like I started to listen to what he was saying. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. America first. Bring back the bring home some of the bring home some jobs, lower the taxes.
And the guy seemed
Um,
to have a fucking backbone. That's the other thing. Like, our party has, outside of maybe like a handful of people, like there no fucking backbone.
mhm.
It like I said, it's all theater.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah. So again, I didn't vote. Yeah, in 2016, I didn't vote. Well, partly because I didn't like Hillary, but I also didn't like her policies either. And so, and again, I wasn't a Trump. I didn't support Trump at on jump. It was after I actually started listening to him and looked into like what his policies were or what he wanted to do, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah,
But yeah, all those people that voted for Joe Biden just because he wasn't Trump, they do not have my sympathy, and nor do they deserve any sympathy.
no,
Especially the ones who are now belly aching. It's like, oh crap, I didn't know Biden was going to do this. It's like, well, then you're an idiot.
yeah. Well, it's like, I even felt that way like that after the number one trending topic after that second debate was like, how can I change my vote? It's like,
Right.
well, yeah, it's too fucking late. It's it's
Yeah, I mean those people who like only pay attention during like the debates and stuff, but don't take the time to like watch other gather more information for themselves. And it's like there's like when what is it after the election, that survey came out and said a lot of people said that if they knew about like the whole Hunter Biden laptop situation, then they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden.
yeah, and
It's just like
that's a little bit of like you're not even like if you didn't see that like if all you're doing is like watching like if you're supposedly like into the news and like had you known that like but all you're doing is like watching like ABC or CNN or whatever.
mhm.
uh Honestly, I don't even remember like too many people on Fox talking about it, that to be honest.
Yeah, I mean
um
initially they did cover it, but uh, they didn't hammer it as much to the point where CNN or MSNBC would start to start talking about it.
Yeah, and it's like you got to go to new media, like where people are actually doing what's that word? Journalism. You know,
What
yeah,
journal wada huda?
yeah, and it's just like I mean, it's amazing how it's not even like newspapers, like news sites or whatever, like how, they're not doing journalism. It's like it's all this new media stuff where it's like there's people that are actually like asking questions, getting information, finding out things where it's like they're all, where exposing corruption. It's like all the things that like supposedly, I guess hasn't happened since like what Watergate. Like, it's like it's like finally we're getting people that are actually caring about the truth,
Mhm.
and that's where like you're learning about stuff where like oh hey this thing that like Joe Biden is probably involved in along with like his son and Joe Biden's brother, I guess, like whatever the fuck his name is, like James Biden or something, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It's brother James. Yeah.
And it's like where they've been selling us out to Ukraine and China and all these other places, like that's not good. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know even know if people knew about what is it? How like the former mayor of Moscow's wife gave Hunter Biden like $3 million.
yeah, like I said,
Why?
I never heard that at all on any legacy media.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure
And
like we brought it up a time or two, on this
yeah,
stream. Um,
well, and that's the thing is like, listen, like personal foibles aside, like I don't care if like like oh like the president's son has a drug problem or I don't care honestly. Like I really don't care about that. That's a
mhm,
personal thing. That's a
right.
family matter.
Hmm.
But like when you have a family member or like that is using your name to sell influence around the world and is being put in like certain positions of power where he's gaining money off your name, and honestly like it's alleged. I'll say allegedly, but come on, like he's involved. It's Joe's
I know we
involved.
say allegedly to save, cover our asses. Um, uh, but yeah, it's. I mean, especially because like some of the emails that were leaked out, talking about the big guy and getting his cut, and and I'm merely considering this man's testimony. I'm not saying I'm believing it, but the that Bobolinsky guy,
Yeah,
who's worked with the Bidens for years, who literally had nothing to, who literally endangered his life by coming forward and saying, yeah, Joe Biden knew about all of this.
I mean, if he was working with the Clintons, he'd be dead by now. But
I know,
that's
right? No, yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah, he, his death would have been ruled a suicide, with two gunshots to the back of the head. Yeah, or
yeah,
accident is an accident.
yeah. But like I said, I don't care about affairs. I don't care about drug problems. Or like honestly, like stuff like that. That like I said, that's a family issue. That's personal. I really
Mhm.
could care less. Um,
Although I do take onus because because China has been kind of like flexing their dick a little bit, with doing flybys, or breaking into Taiwanese airspace.
mhm.
And like it came out that Joe Biden, didn't react initially because his son advised him not to.
Wow.
Yeah, supposedly, allegedly. I mean, that's what I heard like from one of the legacy media outlets that what is it? Yeah, his like the quote was yeah, it's like don't react. It's like don't take their bait, Dad. Like that was a quote or something that supposedly Hunter Biden said, advised his father
Yeah.
about
Well, I mean,
about China
yeah.
and
Well, I mean, Hong Kong.
their aggressive actions towards Taiwan.
Yeah. Well, Hong Kong is essentially like it's gone. That's never coming back until
Yeah.
that regime is through, and Taiwan's next. That's exactly what's or I'm sorry, Chinese Taipei, whatever the fuck you want. Hit like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
um,
for some reason, China still thinks like they still consider Taiwan part of China, but they're like they feel like they feel that like that China like Taiwan is like their shithead kid who's who's trying to stick it to the old man or whatever. But it's like it's more like Taiwan is like that really successful kid, and China is like that kind of deadbeat or loser parent that that constantly is like leeching off them.
yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Because I know like every time like the Olympics rolls around, like anyone that's coming in from Taiwan, they can't say Taiwan. It's like no, it's Chinese Taipei. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
really. I was like, what the fuck is Chinese Taipei? Like it's like,
I know.
oh, Taiwan. Oh, okay. Like why can't we just say that? Like, but
I
no,
mean,
basically,
is it like when they what is it the string of islands when they call it like French Polynesia?
yep, bingo. Uh, so I mean, well, the only time I care about an affair is like when you have a guy like Eric Swalwell who's sleeping with Chinese spies, who,
Right.
you know,
Who weren't even that hot. Who were like at the most I'll grant a 6.
I didn't see the picture, so it's like she sounds a lot hotter than she probably is.
Yeah, I mean, Christina Fang or because interestingly enough, a lot of Chinese people they have like their first name and their last name are the same. So it's
Yeah.
like this chick's name was Fang Fang.
Yep.
Yeah, I only know this because I have a friend whose Chinese name, and when you say his Chinese name, it's the same as it's double his last name.
So weird.
Yeah, I asked him about it. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, it was a little weird. Um, yeah, but I saw a picture of her. She's a 6. Let me like if this clears it up a little. I don't know if I'd let her touch my penis.
Yeah, I mean it's like you said, the Washington is essentially ugly Hollywood.
Yeah. Or politics is Hollywood for ugly people. I mean, just look at
Yeah.
AOC. Although she has a pretty solid rack.
I don't. I see. Everyone says like, she's like, she doesn't do it for me, man. Like,
It's
I
the
don't.
crazy eyes. It's the crazy eyes.
I think maybe that's part of it. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't find her attractive at all. Like, maybe it's because maybe it's a personal thing. Like, obviously, like I'm, I did not. I married an Asian woman, for one, but
Yeah,
it's
right. I know. Yeah, like Latinas, you're not. It's not your bag.
it's. I mean, some of them are, but like, yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of Jenny on the Block.
Okay. Yeah.
Though she grew up in like some like was it like Westchester or
Yeah,
something like that. So
some milk toast, a suburb, yeah, Westchester, upstate New York.
yeah, like in like a nice part of upstate New York.
Yeah, where she would have definitely have interacted with the what is it, garbage disposal.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was doing dishes. It's like, how the fuck, every house I've ever been to in the United States
Mm-hmm.
has a fucking garbage disposal. Even my grandparents' house that was built in like the 1860s, I think. Like it's an old house.
Right.
And even they had a garbage disposal. It's come
Right.
on.
Like okay, even if she had, even because her parents were pretty well off. Her dad was like an architect or something, I believe, with some like big firm. Even if they had like help or whatever, she would have been exposed to it. Even like when the maids or whatever they're doing dishes, and unless they're they had that that kind of money where they could afford a what is it, a dishwashing machine.
Yeah. Yeah, but even if you have a dishwasher, like you still have like, I don't think there's a sink alive that like doesn't come with like some
Yeah,
sort of garbage disposal.
yeah.
Stupid. I don't know why I was thinking about that the other day. I was just like, how the fuck? It's a lie. She knows that this thing exists. I'm sorry.
It might also it also might be the baby voice.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you guys even know what this is?
I think that bothers me too.
I
Like
don't know. I can't take anyone seriously who sounds like that. Like, Senator, is it true that you did it? I was like, oh my god, I can't take you seriously.
she sounds like a child.
Yeah, no, exactly, baby voice. That's what
It's like, I'm sorry, I don't take you seriously because the things that are coming out of your mouth are not serious.
Yeah, I mean, what is? Yeah, especially recently when she was advocating for re-education programs for
Yeah.
conservatives or Republicans or anyone who doesn't think like she does, essentially.
When you always have an inflection at the end of
Yeah,
your sentences, like
yeah.
you're always
Upwards
asking a question.
inflection. Like I'm asking a question, even though I'm making a statement. Oh my god, I hate that.
Yeah, all the squad sounds like that. To be honest, it's just
I don't know. I haven't heard any of them for any great length of time. Especially Ayanna Presley. No one knows who the fuck that bitch is.
they all sound fucking. The things that are coming out of their mouth is so ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
mean,
don't know, like how they are not primaried. I will never know.
well, I mean, they ran in districts. It's the same thing with like how like they ran in districts where like honestly a glass of water with a D on, a blue D on it would like win. It's like because
True. Yeah.
no Republicans are running those districts.
Yeah. Although I did remember hearing about, as much shit as we, give Democrats, and sometimes rightfully so. I remember hearing a story about this person who, I forget, maybe in Florida, but they ran as a Republican, but they identified as a non-gender conforming fairy trans something or other.
Oh Lord.
And because some Republicans are stupid too, they simply voted for that person because of the R.
Well, I mean that's what those Justice Democrats were that whole thing that they were planning on trying to do is they were working on trying to like even like they were going to have people that were going to run as Republicans because people don't pay attention, and it's like okay, well they'll run as Republicans but they'll be on our side, and it's kind of like the having like an insider on like the Republican side. It's like, and I'm like it's like yeah, that's why it's like you have to pay attention to what these people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost like there's some times where like if I was living there, like or in certain like districts or whatever, it's like you listen to what they're saying. It's like I'd almost rather vote for the Democrat that's there than than the Republican, just because it's like the Democrat sounds closer to something that I believe in. Whether it's
Yeah, that's why. That's why I. When I registered to vote, I registered as a non-affiliated voter.
yeah.
And what is it?
I mean, it's
Yeah, because I'm not saying that I'll almost never vote for a Democrat, but if there's a Democrat who you know comes pretty close to where I am on the political like spectrum or you know political compass test or whatever, I can see myself voting for them.
yeah. I mean, it's. Oh, we got off on the weeds on that one. I just
Yeah, no,
it's all right though.
it's
Sometimes that happens.
it's something. That's how conversations go sometimes. You start in one place and then you end up in a place that you never thought you would, or you end up back to somewhere familiar. Um, but yeah, because honestly, we do kind of shit on leftists and like Democrats a lot.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so.
Okay, I will
But
say,
specifically now, we get to shit on them because especially now because of all of these social media posts and people like with their buyer's remorse. It's like, oh, I didn't know Biden was gonna do this. No sympathy, no sympathy for them whatsoever.
Yeah. I will say one thing that kind of like because now we're hearing a lot of people that are your Republicans who are on the right. It's like, oh, well, we definitely have to like attack big. It's like big tech now. It's like, where were you like 2 years ago? 2 years ago when we actually we could have done something about it, and now
Right.
now they're talking all big. And it's like where it's like, where were you?
Yeah, I know. The last few months of the campaign where Ted Cruz was coming out and Jim Jordan.
Well, I will say, like Ted Cruz has actually been talking about it for like quite a while now. Obviously, like he's just one man, but like now like Lindsey Graham, who like it's like where were you? Like you could have done something about it. Like you and it's like people like tend to listen to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and yeah, it is a problem. Like it's like you're just now seeing this. Like, are you just like where were you when we actually had control of the Senate, control of the House? You were nowhere.
Yeah, no, we had both houses of Congress and the presidency. We could have, they could have torn shit up, but they didn't because there were fucking never Trumpers amongst them and oh he's so mean, I can't follow a man who's that mean.
It's like who
so
gives
again, no sympathy for them. I have no sympathy for them.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a handful of people who have been talking about this forever. I mean, we've had like, I mean, the other thing that like is a big thing for me is like the whole like the budget issue, which is honestly there was one guy that like stood like that had been talking about it, and like he actually he ended up losing his seat because of it, and it's like, and people laughed him out of the room. It's like, you're an idiot, and it's like, no, he's not. He's the only one. He's the only sane man in the room.
Oh yeah,
That like
Thomas Massey or Tom something or other. Tom
like,
Massey.
I forget his name right now, but like it's just like he's the only sane guy in the room. Is like, we're not gonna have a country if like we just like we're constantly like if we keep like growing the debt. Like we need to like cut back on everything.
Yeah. No, I think it was like Tom Massey or something. But yeah, he
Yeah,
was like the only one saying like, hey, we shouldn't be printing all this, funny money. Um, uh, but yeah, he was like, and he was laughed out. He was laughed out of the room.
maybe it's time to, like, especially like honestly like especially when like all the COVID stuff started happening. It was like it's like, okay, now's the time. It's like honestly like all these countries that we're sending money to, that's over. Like we need to stop sending money to them.
Yeah,
We're on our own.
Thomas Massey.
Yeah, they laughed him out of the room. And I was like, that's the only sane man that's there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of reminded me of our buddy Albert when he was talking about all the reckless spending, way back
It's
when.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, and I agreed with him. It's like, yeah, we can't be keep printing money.
I mean, God, at the very least, hey, why don't we stop giving money to countries that like want to destroy us? Why?
right.
Why?
No, yeah, that was one of the craziest things because like for about 2 weeks, the left and the right both agreed on something, and that is why the hell are you sending money away to foreign countries when we can barely we're barely making enough money to feed our families and pay rent,
Yeah.
and barely keeping ourselves afloat. Why the fuck are you sending billions of dollars away to other countries?
Hey, you know what's a great idea? Let's give Iran $100 billion. That sounds like a great fucking idea.
Yeah, or what is it? Or what is it? Was it Pakistan? So they can have gender studies programs or whatever.
Oh God. And then we constantly like.
And wasn't it ironies of ironies that I think it was a South American country, but we were sending money so that they could secure their elections or something like that. There's like there's something
Look how
like that.
great that's worked.
It's like the irony of ironies.
God. Ah. It's like it's this country is so great. It can be it can be like even greater, but it just
Yeah, the potential is right. I know. I get it. The potential is right there. It literally is right there. But it's just like
it might not seem it like from this stream. It's like I love this country to death. It's the best country in the world. It's not perfect, but it's the best. It's the best country that's there. I wouldn't want to live. I don't want to live in Canada. I don't want to live in Europe. I don't want to live in South America or Asia or wherever. I
yeah.
want to
I
live
mean,
here.
I'm ethnically Korean, but I wouldn't want to live in Korea.
Fuck that. No way.
Yeah, I mean, because one, I probably wouldn't have a future in Korea if I lived there, especially growing up in Korea, like in the '90s and like
Oh
stuff like
God.
that.
Yeah.
I would be looked down on as like a second or third class citizen because of my disability.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like there would be that it like I don't want to say that it'd be impossible to have social mobility there, but it'd be damn difficult. More difficult than if I was living here in America.
Exactly. So, like I said, I love this country to death. I talk a lot of shit about our politicians, and honestly, they all deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I talk a lot of shit about our media, which is god awful.
Mhm.
It's been, and honestly, like the more research I do, it's like it's been god awful for a long time. It's been bad for a long time,
Yeah,
even
no.
before we were born.
Oh yeah, it's because it's the constant like uh what is it shoveling off responsibilities of elected officials onto a singular authority, i.e. the president, the executive. Congress has. I can't even tell you the last time that Congress passed a law or a significant law.
The legislative branch doesn't do shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think it's such big news when the president comes out with his executive orders?
The fact like that was never the intention of, and honestly, like, well, I mean, we'll probably get into this more because for Christmas I got Andy the Federalist Papers,
Mm-hmm.
which and I also got a copy for myself. So we'll probably end up like doing a review on those at some point here. But that was never the intention of the government. Like
No.
we put way too much power into the executive branch. We put way too much power into the Supreme Court, and honestly, the legislative branch is based off like the way that they're acting, they're useless.
Yeah, no, they're there. They're simply there to fulfill some sort of vestigial. Uh, I don't know. It's not even purpose because they don't even serve a purpose.
I
Um,
honestly, I would like to go
it's like, yeah,
back.
like Congress Congress and the Senate has become completely vestigial. That's what I'm trying to say.
I kind of want to go back to that. Might be something like fun to research about, like the Congress and the Senate, and like because there has to have been a point like where they actually were useful and maybe actually like fulfilled their purpose. But
Right. But
at
yeah,
some
if ever
point,
there was, I want to say it was very early on in our country's history.
yeah, I want to see like the point, like, or who was it that like ended up fucking that up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Senate wise, I think we can all agree it was probably Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, because
Woodrow
he
Wilson
turned
was like,
yeah because
he ruined the
because
country.
he made the Senate redundant because basically because the whole purpose of the two chambers was one to represent the people and then
Yeah,
one to represent the interests of the people, and then the Senate is to represent the interests of the states,
yeah,
right? And so it was supposed to be like the people wanted this, but then it's like the states like, no, we're not having that. So there was there was a check to the power of the people. Uh, but
yeah.
Woodrow Wilson came in and like made it so like, okay, now the people and then like governors used to appoint senators to look out for the interests of the respective state in the
As
federal
we saw
government.
in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, and Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Mr. Smith wasn't elected; he was assigned to by the governor. And yes,
Right,
the senators usually selected from probably the state legislature. Um,
right.
but yeah, they were there to look out for the interests of the state. But now, then Woodrow Wilson went in and basically, what amendment was it? With the 17th Amendment?
Something like that. I
Yeah,
think that's. I'd have to look that up. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
But yeah, he basically advocated for the 17th Amendment, which made state senators elected by popular vote.
Yeah, and I think that's a
Which
huge,
then
huge
makes it redundant, which makes the Senate completely redundant to the House of Representatives.
yeah. They're essentially like one. Now they're just like one thing, and
Yeah.
it's like it's. I think that would be honestly. I think this would be a fun exercise to do, like maybe like as a segment that we do talking about like what the country what it should be and like where it went wrong.
Mhm.
Um, and just because honestly, I don't think I'm going to say like 95% 5% of the people don't know what the fuck some of these branches of government even do.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I'm sure, and kind of clarify what deep state means. Because I think a lot of people are like they I don't think a lot of people have a really clear idea of what that even means or what that is like.
We
Because I
didn't
think
have no
I think a
idea.
lot of people might have the idea that it's like deep state. It's like, oh, these politicians that have been in there forever. But it's like
No.
that's kind of part of it. But it's also the the kind of administrative like bureaucracy side. Because because presidents and administrations, they come and go, but the people who who kind of like turn the levers and or who pull the levers and turn the cranks, they're still there.
Yep. Yeah.
And so in a lot of in a lot of ways, they're more powerful than the president.
They really are.
Right? Because they've been there for so long. They built relationships. They built they built like this kind of weird parallel economy of deals and favors.
I mean, we kind of like. I don't know if you ever watched the show House of Cards, but like, I mean, it's pretty much like shown. That's exactly what it's like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never seen House of Cards.
It's great up until like the last season's garbage, but the rest of it's awesome.
Well, funny enough, the show being called House of Cards, but it kind of came apart after like the whole spacey thing. So
honestly, like I felt that was like like a lot of those things, like yeah, you kind of knew he was kind of a shitty person beforehand. Like he's not had like he don't get me wrong. Kevin Spacey is one of the greatest actors out there. But he's not a good person.
Right? Yeah, not the best reputation.
No, I mean it's one of those things like yeah, it's I don't know. You've seen Casablanca, I'm sure, but like there's that scene like where oh, that's right. Yeah, we did watch it together. But you do. There's that scene where where it's like the inspector's like, I'm shocked that there's gambling going on here. It's like, here's your winnings, sir. Oh, thank you. It's like, which is.
That's right. Yeah, because he was like, the gambling was like prohibited by like whatever law was governing Casablanca, and like the police chief was like, oh no, how dare how could there be gambling here?
I'm shocked that there's gambling going on. It's like, here's your winnings, sir. Oh, thank you. It's like it's great. That's exactly what like this whole it's like you kind of you knew that he was kind of a shitty person, like, but now that like it's this whole Me Too thing or whatever, it's like yeah, but the thing is like you're all doing it, like this just happened, like, oh well, now there's all this light on him, so I'm shocked and terrified, I'm horrified by like what he did. It's like he knew what he did, come on, and you still hired him.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but you didn't care because he's a great actor, it's like,
well, yeah, but then that's like the whole thing with Harvey Weinstein. It's like the worst kept secret in Hollywood, but yeah, people still tolerated him.
Yeah.
Until like the political winds change, so to speak, and hashtag believe all women, and pound Me Too and what have you. So it's like there were like jokes about Harvey Weinstein being the absolute worst in TV shows for years. 30 Rock. Yeah, 30 Rock had one. I think Family Guy did Harvey Weinstein joke.
Yeah.
I mean, just to name a couple. I know there are more. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But those are like the most prominent ones that I remember.
SNL. I mean,
it's like it was known, and people like made like, oh yeah, and then like Seth MacFarlane at like at an Oscars nominee something, he was like he was reading out the nominees for best actress. And he made a joke about it, saying like, "Oh, and here are the 6 women who no longer have to pretend that Harvey Weinstein is attractive." It's like,
and everyone laughed, and yeah, it's kind of a funny joke. Yeah, it's. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed, but
Right?
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's we.
Yeah, but
But
then yeah,
now,
but then it gets a little maddening because then they're the ones who 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 suborned evil. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They suborned evil, and then they come out and say, oh, and then they have the gall to lecture us about being good moral people. It's like fuck you.
yeah, no, yeah, I don't want to hear from you. Sorry.
Yeah, you who suborned like rape and sexual assault and the grooming of children. Yeah,
Oh,
fuck you.
Meryl Streep is like one of the worst.
Oh yeah, Meryl Streep. Yeah, like she fucking called him God.
Yeah,
And like
I
she
mean,
swore, and she swore, and she feigned ignorance at the entire thing. It was like I had no idea. It was like the inspector thing, like you just
yeah.
mentioned in Casablanca.
Well, I mean,
Like
this is also from a person that like applauds and loves Roman Polanski, who is a terrible person.
yeah, he's not alleged. He's a convicted
Yeah,
rapist.
the reason
Roman,
like he hasn't been in America since like 19 like what 80, because he's
yeah, at least
because
or at least late '70s.
if he comes back into the U.S. he's gonna be arrested.
Because there's no statute of limit. I don't think there's a statute of limitation on that.
Didn't he go
He
back
got
to like France or Poland or something?
he well to Europe for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, or specifically to a country without an extradition treaty with the U.S.
Once again, a great director, but a fucking horrible person.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they created Chinatown, but people, it's
yeah.
like
No, I get it. Yeah.
a
Which
movie
does,
that I
which
love.
then, which does start kind of, certain things start falling into place, especially about the story.
Dude, that's right, because there is, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some ickiness. There's some
God,
ickiness.
I mean, because it's a fucked up movie.
Yeah,
But goddamn, Chinatown is a great movie.
it is a
That
good
that
movie.
that is a must see.
That is, yeah. Despite, yeah, it's like one of those ones where you have to try and detach the art from the artist, as it were.
There's honestly like you almost feel bad for the guy because with the whole like Sharon Tate like Manson murder
Hmm.
and all of that, but then the guy was you don't just like one day is like, hey, you know what, I want to fuck little kids. That like there's something like, and it's one of those things like, who we don't know necessarily about his past, but there's probably a good, he probably got like molested as a kid at some point,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Likely.
which is which is unfortunate. It's evil, but a lot of the people that, and there's a good number of people that end up getting like molested or raped or whatever as kids, and they end up becoming, if not sexually promiscuous, they definitely, there's a lot of them that end up becoming predators themselves.
Well, yeah, like yeah, they become damaged toys, which then they go and damage toys, as it were. And the cycle continues.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that should be like anything like where you're molesting kids. Honestly, you need to be killed.
Yeah, I mean
It-
that's why I said like if there was there was a proven like rapist or like sexual like child molester living on my block, I would not feel bad. I would not feel bad ending his life and then going to jail for it.
no, I feel the same way. I mean,
Yeah, I
honestly, like
wouldn't.
it's,
Because I know, because once I get to prison, I know I will be treated like a hero.
yeah, because honestly, like even prisoners, like when you those guys they fuck up those guys big
Mm-hmm.
time. They hate
Yeah,
child molesters.
child molesters and rapists. Yeah, they have it the worst in prison.
Yeah, I murdered like 50 people, but you know what? Fuck child molesters. It's like, come on. I mean, it's like
It's like,
even
yeah, like I ripped the guy's face off and wore it as a mask, and drove through like 30 states, but fuck child molesters.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, there's a level, there's a line at least. Yes. So I think I would, if we ended up killing child molest, like if we were like serial child molester killers, like I think we'd do pretty okay in prison.
Yeah, no. It'd be kind of like what's that one? Oh, Boondock Saints,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're not, we're not hurting any like innocent people. We're getting the people who deserve
Yeah, that's a great movie. Still, I mean,
it.
I might have to watch that again. It was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was. All right, I
Um,
think I think we talked this subject or this
this
subject,
ended up
and
becoming a segment. Like it devolved into another segment. Like I don't even know if we
yeah, I
have
think
time for the other. Like, are we free? Um,
yeah. Well, we could talk. We kind of brushed up against it, so we don't have to go in depth with this one. So, but yeah, we like yeah, this could have been like probably like 7 segments, just
it really kind of.
just based on like everything we talked about. But all right, let's move on to the next segment on the docket. And we'll be quick about it.
Because I
But yeah,
really want to get in the True Grit review.
right. Well, yeah, I promise I'll do a better job of managing the time.
No, it's okay. Like I'm a couple of Merry Christmas, Happy New Year beers into the review into the podcast, so it's all right. No worries.
All right. Okay. Anyways, well, for the next bit of news, if you weren't, I brought up the topic at the beginning of the stream, but yes, it seems that California is opening up again. Uh, Yesterday, the governor just announced that he was going to be ending the stay-at-home order that he imposed on California late November, early December of last year. And
Oh,
so
thank you, government. Oh,
yeah, and so now what is it? We're like what is it? We're going back to the tiered system, basically the color coded tier system.
God.
Um, but what is it? Like personal care businesses can open up immediately, and restaurants can go back to outdoor service. The earliest being this Friday. And
Oh, God.
as you can see, Robert is rolling his eyes heavily. I mean, he's rolling his eyes so far back, he might as well be a slot machine.
Yeah.
But Robert rolls his eyes because he knows what I know, and in that, these stay at home orders miraculously lift, after Joe Biden, gets into office, or perplexingly, these orders get lifted, when the hospitalization rate for coronavirus supposedly is double what it was at the beginning of the renewed stay-at-home orders back in early December.
And honestly, I'm really all these numbers and stats and all this stuff. Like, I'm so fucking skeptical of all of it because it's no, I mean, these numbers mean nothing to me. They're just numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like 11 billion. Like that's what that. Honestly, it means the same thing to me because
Right.
once again, there's no fucking names. There's nothing. There's no substance to it. What's the it's like it's all a power grab, and like I said, don't let any crisis go to waste. I mean, that's all this is. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that the virus doesn't exist. I'm not saying that people haven't died from it. I mean, hell, like the what was it? The people. I'm sorry. It's so long ago from the Obama administration where more people died from what was it? The swine flu or the bird flu? I can never remember what these fucking diseases from one another. That like where they fucked that up. Like they pretty much wiped that away from the media, and way more people died from that. Uh, Even here in America, than this stupid ass coronavirus, which is, I'm not saying that like it's not serious or that like people can't get it or it doesn't exist. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's there's a lot of people that like I'm sorry that like a lot of old people have died because it's I mean it's it's aggressive. Obviously a lot of people that have other conditions that like it's like a lot of old people have died from it. They've had other conditions. They've had even like the younger people that have had it, they've had other conditions. It's a very aggressive flu. Aggressive. And it causes, from what I understand, it causes a lower respiratory infection, which causes pneumonia. That's why people die from pneumonia all the time, even today. It's because essentially you drown in
Yeah.
fluid.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
serious. It's like you're drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, however, there's a lot of people who have quote unquote gotten it, which I honestly I'm very skeptical of the COVID positive crap that goes on because like because the thing is like the flu is gone. Like the flu, like the flu numbers that are out,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that it's nearly zero.
Mm-hmm.
But all these people have COVID all of a sudden. Like it's
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the testing and stuff because just before the lifting of the stay-at-home orders from the governor, what is it? New CDC announcement came out saying how just because you get a positive doesn't mean necessarily you have the coronavirus or something. It's
right.
like because now they're debunking like the effectiveness of the PCR test, which we've been saying were bullshit from the from not from the start, but from very early on because we did our fucking research. Because they admit that they're doing way more amplification cycles on these tests, so that it basically amplifies like the tiniest bit of virus that's in your system, and brings it up, so it shows. But at that point, it's like it's so like the bit of virus that they do find is so minuscule that it basically is like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It basically doesn't do anything. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. Like it has no effect on your body.
Well, hell, I mean, like way early on, like we even went into like the definition, and like like the coronavirus, it's been around since since like what was that medical book from like the 30s or the 40s?
Oh yeah. Like some medical. I think I still have like the image of the screenshot.
Yeah,
From it.
I mean, and the thing is, like it's been around. Like I mean, that's essentially what the flu is.
Right, it's a coronavirus.
And people have been dying of the flu since like what, like
forever.
Yeah, forever. It's like honestly, like it kills young and old. That doesn't mean it's not serious. Don't get me wrong. But like as far as like, I just this. I mean, hell, I'm even like looking around, like in other parts of the world who like have not reacted the same way that this stupid country has sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't not our country isn't stupid. It's the people that run this country who are stupid, and they should be made fun of. They should be vilified. But like you look at like some other countries where like they didn't like react with like absolute like insanity,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing fine. Their economy is in ruins.
I mean, just take this into perspective. Wuhan, China, the epicenter of this virus, is completely open.
Mm-hmm.
They're completely open. No restrictions, no mask requirements. Like people are going to restaurants and nightclubs and going about living their lives. Right, and I mean, yeah, it came out that CNN finally, sometime last month, finally admitted that China was cooking their books, you know. But just like, but also, it's like don't believe your lying eyes, when China is open. They have no restrictions. Everyone is walking about without masks, or because it's China, they probably have bad air quality. So some people are still probably wearing masks. But
It's like Chernobyl. It's not a wasteland.
yeah, it's not a wasteland. It's not it's not The Walking Dead, essentially. And that's the other thing. People like people who were like who are wearing masks. Like it'd be one thing if people were like dropping dead in the street. I would be masking up like crazy.
I wouldn't come out of my house.
Yeah, I wouldn't come out of my house, right? But that's not what's happening here, people. People are not just dropping dead in the middle of the street.
And I'm not saying that like people haven't died or whatever. Like it's,
Yeah.
I'm not. And for people that have died,
I mean,
and the families that are affected, it's tragic. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is.
yeah. I mean, I didn't want to share this, but yeah. I mean, I was personally affected. My aunt recently passed away, and and she had coronavirus. Um, but it's not. But she was like in her 80s, and and like she had some sort of degenerative disease. I think like Alzheimer's or something. Like she didn't even recognize me anymore.
Yeah, I mean it's. Trust me, I know about that. Like that disease,
Yeah,
it sucks.
yeah. I mean, I would like
That's what my grandma died of this year.
Yeah, and I would see her and I would say, oh, I mean, now because admittedly I hadn't seen her in a long time, and she's never seen me with a beard, but I was like, oh, I would say, oh, Auntie, do you remember me? It's and I have very fond memories of my aunt. I think she like I think out of all of the siblings, like she loved me out of all of her nieces and nephews. I think she loved me the most. Because every time she saw me, she always she always gave me
you bring that up a lot, Andy. Like, oh, I think they love me the most.
No, but this aunt, like, yeah, every time I would see her, she'd always like, just like grab me and like hold onto my hand and like not let me go. And she'd always ask me, like, oh, how you doing? What's going on in your life? And she'd like, if we were usually it was at a restaurant, and like, at the restaurant she would like, feed me. Even as like even as like kind of like an adult, she would like, still, try and feed me. Um, so yeah, it was really sad to hear, when she got, when we found out that she had the, virus and everything, and then, and we found out that she was going to be released, and we thought that was good news, but it's like no, it's like the doctor's saying like there's really nothing that we can do. It'd be probably better if she died at home, like around family members.
Yeah.
And so we got her some hospice care, and for a little bit, I was praying, and for a little bit she looked like she was like kind of getting on the mend, but she took a turn for the worst, and she ended up passing away. But even though I lost my aunt, I'm still advocating for people to be free. I'm still advocating for people to make the assessment themselves, to get all the information and then decide on what they're going to do with their lives. If they want to wear a mask, or if they want to isolate themselves, go right ahead. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
It's not fair for you to hold hostage people because of your fear.
I'm not gonna make fun of people that like they're gonna wear a mask, or if like they decide like, hey, you know what, it might be better for me to stay home as opposed to like going to work for a little bit. Like maybe I'm a little bit sick, maybe I should stay home. That's fine. Like I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, no, I got so much pushback from people, like people I didn't even know. Like, I think I've recounted this story before, but early on, a friend of mine, she posted on her Facebook about how like she was in Santa Monica, and this is early on, and she saw people without a mask, and she was like, oh, how could they? They're being so selfish, And I just said, it's like, oh, I don't think they're being, I just lightly pushed back on her and said, hey, I don't think they're being selfish. I think, they, whatever, at the time, whatever limited information that they had, they taken that and they made their own risk assessment, and they're deciding for themselves. And then I went, and I should have stopped there, but I then went on to talking about the law. And it's like, oh well, it's also you can't discriminate anyone who in California, like in the Constitution, Section 51, you can't discriminate against someone who may have a medical reason for not wearing a mask. And then all these fucking idiots, not necessarily my friend, but all these fucking like all of her friends like start jumping on me. And it's like, oh well, like okay, like well, yeah, businesses they can do whatever they want. They're private business. And da da da. It's like,
That's fine. Like that's it. If like
well, at the time I didn't know how to respond, but if I was to respond today, I would have been like, okay, well, if a store can do whatever they want, then why can't they just open up? Or if a store can do whatever they want and they can come up with any policy they want, what if a store had a policy about raping its allowing its employees to rape customers? You think I'm gonna go in there and allow someone to rape me in the ass?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, of course not, because they have to work. Because even stores, they can come up with policies, but they have to work within the law established by the land.
Exactly.
And I probably might have gotten a little personal with them too. I've probably been like, hey, our mutual friend over here, she's never gonna touch your penis, so you can stop, thinking that you're gonna change your mind about, about that, because that's what it's at. Because like a lot of it, I should, I again, it's like it's the situation was like, when to draw your sword, and at that time it wasn't the right time to draw the sword, so I didn't.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we've talked about this a little bit like before the podcast, but like I think this is Gavin Newsom knows that like the axe is coming for his job, and so now it's time to open up.
Right. No. Yeah. I was saying that it's also it wasn't just because Biden got into office, but it's also the campaign to recall Gavin Newsom is very strong. I mean, I rechecked and it's not. They don't have just a million signatures. They have 1.2 million.
No. Where is like where can I sign up? Because honestly, like I'm signing that thing.
Right. What you can do is I think like recall Gavin, or I think it is .com. And you download and you print out the petition. Then you sign it, and then you can get like people to sign it, and then you turn it in.
I think we should do that, Andy. Because honestly, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, because we definitely know enough people who would definitely sign this.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But yeah, just checking again. It's because I said that there was already 1 million signatures, but we actually have 1.2 million, which is really close to the 1.5 million. 1.5 million signatures that the state needs to trigger the special election.
Yeah, I think we need to push that, Andy, because seriously, like I need to sign it because I'm gonna sign that thing. Right. But it's we need to get people like this out of office.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Yeah, because the last time I remember this happening, and we've talked about it on this show, is with Governor Gray.
Yeah, Gray Davis.
Gray Davis.
Yeah, because he essentially went back on his campaign promises, saying like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to have any more new taxes." And what does he do? He issues a new tax. I forget what it was.
This is also the guy that fucked the like energy crisis in California too.
That's right. Yeah, he was a shit governor. I remember he was a shit governor.
He was awful, and it's like, so yeah, because that was the last time I remember that happening. But like, Gavin Newsom is probably worse.
Yeah.
Like I would almost take Ray Davis now as opposed to Newsom.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't get any ideas. Like what's his face, Governor Moonbeam. I can't believe he got back in the fucking office. After,
he was awful back in the 70s. I mean, Jerry Brown was part of a fucking cult.
Yeah, he was part of Jim Jones, or he had associations
with Jim Jones.
Yeah, he had associations with Jim Jones.
A great guy right here. No one fucking remembers that, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Nobody has long enough memories to remember.
Even my dad said that. It's like, this guy, like, sucks. Why did people vote him back in? And not only was he part of a cult, but, like, because he's talking about, like, how he structured some of the freeway system in LA is like, yeah, Jerry Brown sucks.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, but yeah. I think this is Newsom's last ditch attempt to like hold on to his job.
And honestly,
Uh,
like, I don't think we should allow that. I'm saying we have to sign this thing.
yeah, absolutely. No, I'll print it out and I'll next time I see you, yeah, I'll bring it up. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm 1,000% signing that thing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Fuck Gavin Newsom, dude.
seriously. But yeah, it might be too like yeah, but I mean, if any consolation there might be to this is that no matter what, his political future is done.
I certainly hope so because I
Well,
mean,
because there's okay, because I know uh, he had plans to run for president, but like
no,
after the whole like huh?
I hope that's done. Like he
No, no,
like
no. It is done because one, because of the wildfires, the constant like mismanagement of resources and things like that. But I think more damaging is that French Laundry picture.
oh yeah, that I mean that's
Like that, yeah, that blatant like disregard for his own rule for for the citizens of California. He put that order in effect, and then he then goes out
like immediately.
immediately after, the next day practically, and it wasn't just like a bunch, like a couple of friends. It was medical lobbyists. But also but that was the final nail in the coffin. But it was also like the constant like throwing away of money because he gave when coronavirus first happened, he gave out like he found like $1 million or a billion something in surplus, and instead of giving out to businesses or or families in need, he gave it to illegal immigrants or
Yep.
illegal aliens as welfare. It's like, oh well, they need help too. It's like, oh Jesus. And then he spent like $1 billion on a mask deal with China, and we never got the masks.
Nope.
So I mean, I want to say that French Laundry incident like pushed it over the top, and like his political future is done. There's no
Oh
more.
yeah.
There's
I
no more like after and like all the other things that I mentioned with like the mismanagement of money and like the wildfires. It's like I really hope his political future is done.
Well, anyways, supposedly we're opening up or starting to open up. I'm very skeptical. I think there's who knows, and I am 1,000% signing up on that
Yeah.
petition or on
But
the.
I hope if they are if they are up to some fuckery where it's like, oh, we're gonna shut down again. I pray to God that no business shuts down again.
Nope. They
I
shouldn't.
hope they should not. What? By no means they should shut. No,
And
by
we
no means should they listen to this anymore. No more.
and
It's
I
been a year. Okay, and I mean, of course, initial, in the beginning, and even now, I still have some sympathy for those people. It's like, oh, he had no choice, or whatever. It's like, okay, now, like, when they instituted the second round or this most recent stay-at-home order, they were saying like, oh, we're not gonna even last a month.
yeah.
Okay, they said that they're like some restaurants, some small businesses, they said that they weren't gonna last a month. And now like the government is giving this little bit of wiggle room. I don't even say I say that they don't even like just abide by what the restrictions are, like just outdoor, or and things like that. It's like open full board, 100% open,
Yep.
100%. All
One
right, and
thousand
and
percent.
if the government again issues a bullshit state lockdown order again, no, remain open. Do not shut down. All
And
right, because
honestly, like
if you shut down again, if they tell you to, then I have no more sympathy for you.
and honestly, if they remain open, like especially like in one of our favorite places to go, Pineapple.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they want to stay open, I'll sit in the I'll sit there in protest. I'm with you. I'm there.
Right? I know. It's like seriously, what do you have to lose? If you're gonna lose everything, lose it. Go down
Go
in a
down the
blaze
drain.
of glory. All right,
Yeah.
glory. All right. All right, because it's like because where in the Constitution, where in the state Constitution, where in the federal Constitution does it say that the government has the right to tell you how to run your business? It doesn't. Okay, and so if businesses, if small businesses, if it comes to pass that there's another lockdown order or another shutdown order, and you shut down your business, then you no longer have my sympathy anymore because you're just a fucking moron. Right? And then I don't have, and my energy is better spent, trying to convince, uh, what is it, yeah, my time would be better spent trying to convince a fish to take flying lessons. Um, I guess we've lost Robert for the moment. Um, as you can tell, we feel very passionate about these things, um, and it's I don't want to impose my beliefs on anybody or like my perspective on the world. I would I would try to convince people. I would try to persuade them to trying to reconsider their positions and maybe taking up my positions. But I would never like force them to take my position. And it's this, and it's the same thing with the masks, where for every one video of for every one video of someone blowing up at someone wearing a mask, calling them an idiot or whatever, I've seen probably 8 videos of mask wearers screaming and berating non-mask wearers. I mean, just recently there was that video. This rather rotund woman yells at this woman and her small daughter because the daughter wasn't wearing a mask. And it was so heartbreaking because the little girl, like, very kind of sheepishly, try to stick up for her mom, and it's like, because like that fat land cow lady was saying like how she was a bad mom, and the little girl's like my mom is a good mom, very sheepishly. It's like, oh my god, it just like broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because if it was me, I would like, I of course I would stick up for my mom. It's like my mom fucking is the best bitch to step up. But cause I'm a full grown man. But this little girl, who had the temerity to speak up in defense of her mother. Oh my god, I cried a little bit.
Yeah.
It was so bad, and it's like the defense that a lot of people gave to this woman is like, oh well, this woman, her husband recently died because of coronavirus, whatever. And it turns out that he was like some fat sack of lard who had like diabetes. Which is probably what killed him.
But anyways, glad things are starting to open up. Honestly, businesses stay open no matter what happens.
Yeah. Don't even just go by the restrictions. All right, open 100%. All right, keep it 100. We should get that. We should try to get that. We should try to get that hashtag. Going. Hashtag keep it 100.
Yeah, seriously. But let's wrap
all right,
this
just,
up.
Just one more stupid thing. Fauci came out recently and said that 2 masks would probably be better.
Oh god, yeah, I did. I just saw that. It's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You know what?
Yeah.
Do not listen to like loser anymore, because this is also the guy that like was part of like he was the AIDS doctor, like kind of like
he's the one that allowed tainted blood to be in the stockpile, for like transfusions and stuff, and so a lot of people who are just who went in for a surgery or like were in an accident and they got transfused blood got AIDS. That was him.
Yeah, that was Dr. Fauci. But hey, whatever. But he's the anointed one.
Hallowed be his name.
Fuck that guy, dude.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do him one better. I say we should do 4 masks.
You might get healthier.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Let's do 4 masks. What the fuck? Let's do 4 masks.
Fuck Dr. Fauci.
All right.
Let's talk about something fun. I want to talk about truth.
All right, let's talk about something fun. All right, we'll talk about something fun now. which is True Grit. Hold on, let me just. Okay, I'm gonna use. I think I will use.
Well,
I'll use the original one for the synopsis because
okay, sounds good.
I like it better. All right, the synopsis for True Grit. After hired hand Tom Cheney murders the father of 14-year-old Maddie Ross, she seeks vengeance and hires U.S. Marshal Rooster Cogburn, a man of true grit, to track Cheney into Indian Territory. As the two begin their pursuit, a Texas Ranger, LaBeef, joins the manhunt in hopes of capturing Cheney for a murder of a Texas senator and collecting a substantial reward. The three clash on their quest of bringing to justice the same man.
Yeah, this is this is the last movie of our Western month, which I'm kind of a little sad because I'm actually really enjoying watching Westerns.
Just because it's the last one doesn't mean you have to stop.
Well, that's true, but I like talking about them. And I did not see the sequel to the original True Grit, Rooster Cogburn, just yet, but it's on my list.
Right.
But I'm having trouble figuring out which one I like better, the original or the remake, because this is one of those cases where the remake is very good. It's a very competent remake,
right? Yeah.
Which I just found out, like in this recent viewing, that it's a Coen Brothers movie, which makes so much sense because it's a dark comedy. I mean, and that's what the Coen Brothers do so well at doing. Right.
Yeah.
A couple notes, like the original was apparently it was John Wayne's only Oscar that he won was for Rooster Cogburn, which is kind of surprising because he's been in a lot of like kind of just run of the mill westerns, but when he's in his lane, like the guy's a great actor. He's been in movies like Stagecoach and True Grit and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. A lot of great movies. But this is the one that they gave him an Oscar for. And actually, like he almost like backed out of it because he, despite initially really liking the screenplay, when filming started, he felt very uncomfortable in the role. And it's like, I don't know if I should be doing this because I don't feel like I'm good at it. And they convinced him to stay on, and he won the Oscar for it.
Right, because I think you were mentioning too that up until this point, he more or less played the gallant hero type, whereas
right.
As opposed to the Rooster Cogburn character, who's definitely a flawed individual. What did they? In the movie, they characterized the character of Rooster Cogburn as a man who likes to pull the cork, which was just a polite way of saying that he was drunk.
Fucking drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that. And he also was he admits to Maddie Ross that he was he used to be married, but his wife left him, and he had robbed, he didn't kill anybody, but he robbed a bank, and he ended up having to run away. And so Rooster Cogburn, who is a very interesting character, but is a very flawed man. And John Wayne, we look at him in roles of Stagecoach and Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He's the hero. He's the gallant hero who, whether it's subdued or not, he's the guy. And this is not that type of role at all. And for a John Wayne film, it's it's kind of odd, it's kind of refreshing in a way. But when you look at the remake, it's Jeff Bridges, he plays a ton of flawed characters, so it makes so much sense.
Yeah, no, it totally works because it's like when when I watched the movie, when it's kind of hard to separate him from some of his more notable characters, but it's like, dude, Rooster Cogburn is a darker version of the dude. He's a darker Western dude.
Yeah, yeah, he really is. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I've been telling you this all week. Talking about True Grit,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm having a hard time figuring out which one I like better.
Oh yeah, me
Because,
too. Me too. Absolutely.
I mean, the like I said, the remake is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like I like John Wayne. He did a great job. I mean, it won him an Academy Award, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
won him an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And but Jeff Bridges is just as good in the role. But Jeff Bridges has played so many colorful characters in his career that um it to me it made more sense. Like he's definitely like kind of that type of character already. Whereas John Wayne, like you look at his filmography, and he's the hero in so many films.
Mm-hmm.
It was unusual for him. And
Yeah. Yeah, and I told you this, prior, but I think the remake gives a much needed texture to the story of True Grit, whereas the original, it almost felt like you're watching a filmed play,
yeah,
as opposed to the remake where you kind of feel like you're there and you're like watching the like kind of like this slice out of this little girl's life. Um, and being actually submerged, like being immersed into the story and like the setting and everything like that.
yeah, like I said, it's I do agree, because you look at there's I will say that the remake is actually, like, they do a lot with they don't change too much, because a
No,
lot of the lines are, like, pretty much the same.
right.
Yeah, and they're yeah, and both of them deliver them, like, in a great way. Um, I know the Coen brothers, their goal was to be closer to the book that this is based off of.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, obviously, like, you look at the original, it's like it is kind of like they're very similar in outside of like a few things. So
Hmm.
both are actually, if I've never read the book, but I'm assuming like if the Coen brothers were trying to make it more based off the book, and
Hmm.
it's so similar to the original movie, it's like, so both were pretty faithful to the book, I imagine.
Hmm.
um and uh, like the remake definitely kind of just jumps into the story, outside of, like, they give a little bit of a narrative at the beginning, whereas in the original you get a little bit the what is narrated initially from Maddie Ross. We actually see what happens. Um, and I actually, I don't know which one I like better.
Hmm.
Um, because I think, like, the fact that, like, you were saying how, Maddie Ross, like, you were a little bit, like, taken aback by, like, the fact that, like, this, she's kind of this, like, uppity young girl who, like, you're too aggressive. But
Right, right.
then
Well, in the remake.
yeah, in the remake, but when you see the original, it's like, oh, okay, it makes more sense now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, in the 1969 version, they do a little backfilling in on for Maddie Ross's character, so you understand why she's like very very assertive and kind of aggressive. Uh, when she's dealing with like everybody and like trying to settle her father's affairs and things like that. But in the remake, it kind of just like it kind of just like drops Maddie Ross into your lap and it's like yeah, she's kind of uppity. She's kind of she's kind of feisty and aggressive. But it's like, but it's not really. It's just very abrupt, and so it's like very jarring
Yeah,
to
and I now
experience
I
that.
will. I will say this because, and I see after watching the original too, I definitely see the motivation more behind Maddie Ross because in the original you see the
Mm,
love that
right.
the love and respect that she has for her father
Hmm.
so much. You because even like the moment like where she sees like her father's belongings at where he was staying before he was killed,
Hmm.
she cries and like and you but even before like when before like her father leaves, you just see like the respect and love that she has for him. Like I mean, they're almost like best friends.
Right.
And when he dies, based on and she already doesn't like trust or like Tom Chaney, but like she
Right.
respects her father enough like that because he's a good man.
Hmm.
He's taking in these like Tom Chaney, who's a vagabond, taking a guy who was hungry, who had nothing, and even though that she doesn't trust him, she respects her dad enough to like, okay, I know what he knows what he's doing, like, and so she goes along with it. And in the remake, we don't quite get that as much.
Right.
Um, and
Right. Like I
I
could
I
say that, yeah, I could say in the remake that Maddie Ross respects her father, but I don't know about this. I don't know if I would necessarily call it love though,
yeah, and well, that's what I'm saying.
or like
That's
or
where
an admiration.
Yeah, that's where I think like Kim Darby in the original like really brings it out because you see it. I mean the brightness in her face
Hmm.
when she interacts with Frank Ross, her dad,
Hmm.
before like he ends up getting killed. You see that like love and respect that she has.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, this is like I said, the story is essentially the same. Like, there's really not a ton changed from the original and the remake.
Hmm.
It's just like kind of like but the remake has that Coen Brothers feel to it. It's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah. That
the
that
dark.
weird, like kind of like weird time like humor and also that dark humor. Um,
Yeah, it is.
it's yeah,
It's a
it's in there. It's definitely in there.
yeah.
And like so like that's why it's kind of weird for me that you didn't automatically like recognize it to be a Coen brother movie.
Well, that the thing is, I probably I did because I'm like, man, like this would have been like these guys must have been like because I didn't like see that maybe it was what at that time like in the where we're not like necessarily always watching to the end of the credits or whatever
Hmm.
and seeing that like oh it's a Coen Brothers production or whatever.
Hmm.
But I was like, man, this could have been a Coen Brothers movie. Like it's so like it has that like kind of that feel to it. And the only reason I notice it now is because I'm fucking reviewing the movie. you
Right.
know, because before like I wasn't really like maybe I've never really paid attention to too much that's going like with films that are coming out.
Hmm.
But I don't remember seeing a lot of the like the trailers or um, lead up to this movie. The only reason I saw it is because like I used to go to the movie theaters a couple times a week with
Hmm.
some of my friends, and it's like, oh, True Grit, let's watch that. Fuck it. This
Hmm.
is also before like movies were like $25, to just go to the theater,
Right.
where you could see like two or three shows for like $20.
Hmm. Yeah. Or or you could have just theater hopped.
I've never done that. I
Really?
mean, maybe I'm a sucker. Maybe I'm a sucker, but like, because I know it's not the theaters that are the movie theaters themselves are not making money
Hmm.
off of. They're not making all that much money off the movies, so I didn't mind like paying the movie ticket price.
Hmm.
Because they I wanted to help the movie theaters,
Hmm.
so I didn't mind paying for that. Like but anyways, like let's were there any like scenes or like character what were some things that you took away from the film that you really liked, either the original or the remake?
Hmm. Well, I really like the remake how they made that last ride, uh, have some stakes to it. Um,
That's true. Okay, I
yeah,
do agree with that.
in the original, and in the remake, there's a scene where Maddie Ross falls into this pit, and Rooster has to get her, and then like she's bitten by a snake. In the remake, you know, it didn't like there weren't that many, that it didn't feel like there was a lot of stakes because after she's bitten, they kind of like they kind of dress it in the field, and then Rooster, you know, uh, rides off on Maddie's horse, Little Blackie, which is a very small horse, and so with their combined weight, would put a big strain on on that tiny horse, and so it eventually collapses from exhaustion, and Rooster you know gets her into town, and she's patched up, and everything's more or less copacetic. But in the remake, uh, she falls down, she hurts her arm, she gets bitten by the snake, and Rooster tries to suck the poison out of her, but he knows that the venom from the snake bite is probably is already coursing through her veins. And so again, he gets up on her tiny horse and makes the mad dash to civilization from the wilderness. And again, the horse again like dies of exhaustion. And then he then like frantically carries her and gets her to an outpost of some kind. But the
But
damage
he
is
went
done.
back to the now in the remake we don't necessarily like have that same interaction that we did in the original.
Mhm.
Like the outpost where he goes to, like where where Rooster Cogburn, like it's those kids that are like kind of torturing that donkey, and he
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
which is a great scene. I
Yeah,
really
that's
love that.
yeah, and that's in the remake, right? That's in the remake.
Yeah, I was like, I laughed my ass off
Yeah,
in
so
that
did I.
scene. The but in the original, like though he ends up, those kids aren't there, and they're not torturing a donkey.
Mhm.
But those are like two of his friends that he knows that are they're pretty much like have that outpost, and he goes to them initially for information, and they patch up LaBeef's hand and all this stuff.
Right,
But we don't get that in the remake.
right.
But
I
that
mean,
outpost
I
is
don't
the same.
necessarily in the remake. I don't necessarily think that it's all that important, but
Yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily like an important scene, but just that outpost. It's not just some random outpost. It's the same place that he
right,
went
right, right,
to.
right, right, right. But yeah, but then like yeah, he gets her to that outpost, but the damage is done, and she eventually loses her arm. And I actually I like that. I like that last dash, through the wilderness back to some semblance of civilization, and it gave it real stakes.
I'll say that I do agree with you on the fact that I do like that last ride was very like it felt like there was more at stake,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. Because in the original she gets bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess like I really liked. I'll be honest. I liked the ending scene in the original. Like I
Mm-hmm.
felt like we get to see it's kind of the culmination of Maddie Ross and Rooster Cogburn's relationship, where the respect and the love for that they have between each other. Um, where she's they end up becoming family. Like where Maddie wants her to wants Rooster Cogburn like I want you next to me. Like you're someone I care about and I love, and you don't have any family, and I want you here. You're the people that like know you the best, which is that which we don't really get to see a whole lot of in the remake is the
Right.
was it
Yeah,
Chen Li
Chinaman. Yeah, the Chinaman.
Chen, his cat. It's like, that doesn't count. You're you
Yeah, because Chen Ling is basically his landlord. Because he
pretty
rents
much
a bed in his store's back room.
right. It doesn't mean as much, and like I don't know. I honestly thought the ending scene in the original was like very heartwarming.
Right.
But like you kind of you pointed out, which is not a bad. I'm not disagreeing with you that the in the remake where like their love and respect for each other it goes kind of unspoken. It's an
Hmm.
unspoken thing, and because after she wakes up from after losing her arm and recovering, that Rooster's he ends up like leaving and like
Hmm.
living his life, but they kind of stay in contact with each other, and but she never really sees him again. Yet she cares enough about him to like get his body and to put him in their like family plot. So it's kind of the same thing. But I don't know. I just maybe I was like in the mood for like just a kind of like a happy ending,
Hmm.
somewhat. That So I don't know. I kind of like the original ending a little bit better,
Hmm.
but I agree with you at the same time.
Right. Um, yeah, because in a weird way, it oddly bookends the movie quite nicely because in the beginning she's off to go collect her father and bring him back to be buried in their family plot, and similarly when Rooster reaches out to her, when she becomes an adult or whatever, uh, but uh, but they're not able to have like their reunion, and so what does she do? She goes and collects his body and brings it home to the family plot. Uh,
Oh, yeah, it's very poetic. I
yeah,
like I
it's
said,
very
I think
poetic.
it's very very well done. I
Hmm.
like I can't great. It's a great bookend to the movie.
Hmm.
Um, can we both agree that like on both the original and the remake that LaBeef is kind of a creep?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we
I
could
mean,
agree on that. Labif was a bit of a creep.
because Maddie Ross is like what 13 or 14 years old,
14, I believe it's. Let me hold on. 14. 14. Yeah, 14.
and he's probably what like 35, 40 years old.
Right. I mean, if we're going by the remake clock, she was 14. He was, and then at the end, she said that she doesn't know if Labib is alive or dead, but if he is, he'd probably be in his 70s, probably early 80s. And if we're and she at the end of the movie, the adult Maddie is probably
40.
no, not even 40, maybe 40. Let's say late 30s into her 40s,
So like so they had probably like a 25-year difference.
something like that.
So he would have been like 39 or 40 years old.
I don't know. Well, because also because back then people were a lot older without being older.
I'm gonna say like there was probably like a
Because
15 or 16-year difference between them.
yeah, because again, like people may have been older without being older because like people were more accomplished earlier on in life. So
I mean that's true, but like it's still like the fact that
yeah,
like
so let's say at the most there's a 20-year age gap.
had this movie like
So
taken
because
place
she's
in
like so she's definitively 14. And so if it was a 20-year age gap, then that would put him at 34. And then at the end of the movie, when she said like, oh, he'd probably be in his 70s to 80s, then that would put her in her 50s.
Yeah, probably. Like, you know, but the thing is, now had this been like the 1680s or like the 1780s, I might not have like thought about it as much. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like, you know, he's kind of like he's sexually attracted to her in a way, but like he's not.
Right.
Um, it's
Right. Well, like the whole commentary,
I
like the whole
don't know.
comment of her, like when she was sleeping, it's like, oh, I had thought of like stealing a kiss from you, even though you're so ugly.
Yeah, it's just like it's so weird. Like it just it that the, the it just I don't know. I felt it was like kind of like a weird. Like I like LaBeef as a character, but like it just I feel like that whole interaction was maybe like unnecessary.
I don't know, different times. I mean, I because we had
We
never,
were,
because we never read the book. I don't know, like what, like maybe there is some sort of romance that eventually will happen, but not like at that exact moment for them.
yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like I had to read the book
Right.
or at least like maybe the cliff notes, but
Yeah.
like the fact that
I mean, the fact
I
that he
mean
even said it,
yeah, it's
it's
just
a
weird.
little
I
weird.
think
It's
it's
just
just
a little
weird
weird.
all.
Yeah, it's just a little weird. Although, I'm not gonna say this on the stream. I'm not gonna have it on the record, but yeah, it's a little weird.
It just, to me it's just weird a little
Mm,
bit. I mean it didn't I still like LaBeef as a character. I think
right.
to be honest I did like the Matt
Well, now
Damon.
is it just weird because of like the social conventions, or is it weird because it doesn't really add anything to the story?
To me it doesn't add anything to the story.
Okay, and is that like your like weird factor, or is it also because of the
That's
social convention?
that's the problem I'm having. It's like why is that there?
Yeah, like why is that remark
Because
made? Is essentially what you're asking is that why is that remark even made?
bingo, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like I said, it takes place in the 19th century. It's like it's fine. Like whatever. Like I know there was a lot of age difference between like girls and guys, or vice versa at the time.
Hmm.
It was not a huge deal. So that's not. I mean, like if that was happening today, it's like yeah, that's fucking creepy. But to me, it doesn't add to the story at all.
Right. And if it was like something that that they ended up getting together at some point in the future, then okay. But that's not what happened in either the original or the remake.
Exactly. That's the problem I'm having with it, like as a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, had this movie taken place in like the like our like modern times, I'd be like, okay, that guy's a fucking pedophile.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's just more like it felt very unnecessary. Some of those lines, because in the remake he's just like sitting in the room watching her sleep.
Mm.
Um, whereas like in the original, like obviously there's more scenes in that boarding house that she's staying in, and the fact that like I guess like it's kind of like sort of unspoken that like initially like he like knows her name and like he knows like all this information about her is like which is kind of like where the and she's creeped out by him obviously. It's like how the fuck do you know like my name and this stuff, whereas like in the remake I think they spelled out a little bit more like right off the bat where it's like, yeah, like I'm tracking this guy his name is not Tom Cheney, it's like Cattlehorn or whatever the fuck his name was.
Hmm.
And like I was investigating and I stopped by your residence where he was at and I talked to your mom and she's looking for you.
Hmm.
And so um so I at least like I said, the remake definitely gives context and maybe some texture to like some of the story a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I can't choose. I honestly like my rating is probably gonna be the same for both.
Mm.
Just because I think like the original does stuff that the remake doesn't do, and the remake does stuff that the original doesn't do.
Right. All right. Well, I mean, I got nothing else to add. So.
I will say that like Jeff Bridges is fucking amazing as Rooster Cogburn.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about perfect castings, there's no perfect casting.
Oh
More
yeah,
perfect casting than Jeff Bridges in the role of Rooster Cogburn.
I almost can't choose because I love John Wayne as Rooster Cogburn, but like
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bridges was fucking amazing
Mm-hmm.
as Rooster Cogburn too. John Wayne like I said, he won the Oscar for that his only Oscar for this role.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Bridges, I mean, he was nominated. I don't think he won, but Jeff Bridges was nominated too because he was just so good.
Yeah, no, I think no. Yeah, he probably got nominated, but he won for Thunderheart, I believe.
Was it okay? Yeah, but he was amazing. I mean, he he took what John Wayne did and he just ramped it up, dude. Like he was great. And Jeff Bridges, like he is an amazing actor. He really is.
Oh, hold on, I have all the nominations. Academy Award Best Supporting Actress, Best Award Leading Man, Best Picture, Critics' Choice, Best Supporting Female. I think she won it. Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's great too.
Academy Award Best Cinematography, Academy Award Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay, Academy Award Best Sound Editing, Academy Award Best Directing, Best Production Design. These are all nominations, not necessarily that they won.
Yeah.
Best Sound Mixing, Best Costume Design, Best Actress in a Leading Role. Yeah, that's a lot of. Yeah, I'm just gonna do Academy Awards. Yeah, but they didn't win any of the awards except for. No, they didn't win any that year. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean they were nominated for a bunch of stuff
Right,
in the
right, right.
remake. It made a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think they this movie the remake was definitely much more successful than the original,
Mm-hmm.
and the original was still very good. Um, and it was also very successful, but um, definitely I'll say this Haley Steinfeld, she's definitely become a tasty slice. I don't know if you watched Bumblebee at all.
Yeah, of course I did.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Which is
I don't think she's that hot though.
see, I
She's
disagree.
really no. She's really cute. I'll give her that. But
She's very attractive. Bumblebee is like something like that. That's what the Transformers movie should have fucking been. Not the Michael Bay like travesties, but like Bumblebee was awesome. That was the best Transformers movie.
yeah, it was.
Honestly, I hope that it did well enough where they're gonna make more of those because those deserve Bumblebee deserves more movies. I'm sorry.
Or at least that universe.
Yes, because honestly,
Yeah, because we got the best realized version of the Autobots, which is the Generation 1
yeah,
Transformers. And what is it? Yeah, and I know Netflix, they have like that Transformers series, War for Cybertron.
which is
Uh,
really good, by the way.
yeah, the first season was really good. The second season was not that great. Optimus Prime is kind of being an idiot in season 2.
I'll have to
But
watch season 2. I haven't seen that yet.
okay, but at the last episode, they do make a nod to your favorite Transformer series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
And I think in season 3 they will be tackling it.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm very curious now. But yeah, no, this is I can't choose between the two. I mean, they're both so good. I mean, the casting on both was great. John Wayne, who was obviously like he's the epitome of westerns. I mean, when you think westerns, you think John Wayne.
Yeah, no,
Um,
of course.
and Jeff Bridges like really is a very like he's an iconic actor. I mean, he's done so much, and he's played so many different types of roles. I mean, he has a great range. He's been in
Yeah,
Iron Man.
he's done comedies, he's done action movies.
Yeah, I mean he's great. Um, and like in I like Matt Damon as LaBeef, probably over Glenn Campbell, but
Mhm.
Glenn Campbell was pretty great in that role too.
Yeah.
I liked Haley Stanfield more than Kim Darby, but Kim Darby has her points too.
Hmm.
Dennis Hopper's in the original, which I mean I love Dennis Hopper. As crazy as that guy was,
Hmm.
um, I think he's one of the great character actors of all time.
Hmm.
Um, Robert Duvall played um, Ned Pepper, and
Hmm.
I love Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
But then like you had Josh Brolin who played Tom Chaney, who I think he played that role better than the guy in the original.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So I mean, and then but Barry Pepper did a great job as Ned Pepper too. Like I like him. He's kind of like he's not in a ton of stuff, but he's a great character actor too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So I mean,
my favorite role of his is Barry Pepper. That is what's it? He played the sniper in Saving Private Ryan.
oh yeah, I mean he's really great in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I said, it's I can't choose between the two. They're both so good.
All right. Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. Do you have anything
No,
else to add?
I'm ready to give my rating and call it a night.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Rating time. I'll go first. I'm gonna give both movies a 4.
Dude, you read my mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, they're not either of them are not perfect movies in and of themselves. It's kind of hard not to make comparisons of the two. I mean, we just did. Um, but they're both good movies on their own. In a vacuum. They're just not like the absolute best where I have to give them fives. Um,
Yeah, but I think together, gives them like some like when you watch them together, I feel like you get the whole picture.
yeah, yeah, more realized picture because
Yeah.
yeah, again, because if the Coen brothers did go more by the book, then we are actually getting a more realized picture of what the author of the book, True Grit, was going for.
But yeah, I also would agree with you. Both are a 4. Not a perfect movie, but it's goddamn, it's so good. Both these are great. I love the original. I love the remake. This is one of normally I'm not a huge fan of remakes, but
Hmm.
this is one of them this is a great remake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, before we end though, like I do have to say, like I want to make an amendment to last week's episode where like I think I kind of shit on Tombstone a little bit too much. I think it deserves another half star. It really is like it is a good movie. I felt bad, like because I really was feeling bad this week. It's like I think I shit on Tombstone too much because it really is a good movie. Now it's the more I thought about it,
Uh-huh.
and I want to give it an extra half star. Like it really should be a 4, and I should have agreed with you on that one.
Hmm.
It is a great movie, and I definitely want to watch it again. Um, It in 1000% is the best version of that story.
Yeah, that you made abundantly clear.
Yeah. Uh,
But yeah,
Spotlighter.
say it with me, class. Andy's always right.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, True Grit. Uh, honestly, watch the original, watch the remake. You're in for a treat. Like watch them together. To be honest, I think you, like I said, I think you're gonna like both of them.
There, and yep, there it is. Yeah, highly recommended.
Oh, a thousand
If
percent.
and if you can, watch them in tandem with each other.
Yeah. Now, oh, before we end, like, would you say like of the westerns that we've watched,
Mhm.
is there one that you would say like is did you like better than the other? Like, do you have like one where like, wow, I didn't expect that to be as good as it was, and like it's like that's the one you want to watch. You think is the best that we watched?
I mean, other than Tombstone, because
Well,
yeah, I guess I should exclude that because that that's my favorite of the
is
westerns.
that like your like of the ones that we watched? Is that your favorite? So of all
Well,
of them?
no, I mean it's my favorite because again, I mean I gave it a 5, but again that's I also acknowledge that it's because it was kind of part of my childhood. Um,
Okay,
so
other
but
than Tombstone.
other than Tombstone, well this will make you happy. I'd have to say Liberty Valance. The man who shot Liberty Valance was better than uh, than I thought, or my expectations.
Yeah, it's a fucking great movie.
It's a good movie.
I,
Yeah,
I
well, I mean, yeah, because I know you did, because I gave it a 4.5, or did I give it a 4?
no, you kind of like you
I
didn't
dinged
give
it very slightly in this, and it's just like for one little idiosyncratic performance. That's all it was. It was like this one tiny ding.
I think you gave it a 3.5 because we kind of did the opposite thing. I initially gave Tombstone a 3.5, and you gave Liberty Balance a 3.5.
Oh,
Whereas
did
like
I?
and then like we both gave those movies like a 5 star. I gave Liberty Balance a 5 star. You gave Tombstone a 5 star.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah. I think the movie, like, other than like the ones that we gave a 5 star, I actually really loved the original 310 to Yuma. I thought that was a great movie.
Oh, that's right. We did watch that one.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to the very beginning of the month,
That's right.
I really love 310 to Yuma. I thought that was a great movie. Both the original and the remake were good,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the original of that one a lot.
Oh,
And
what you were saying?
no, I just really like that movie. Now, like I said, I am a giant Christian Bale fan, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he did great. The remake was very good,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there was something about the original 310 to Yuma that I really liked.
Well,
Maybe
I mean, they had that wicked cool theme song.
that
310 to
okay.
Yuma.
Here's the other thing about this, like those great westerns of the past, they had these great theme songs. 310 to Yuma had it. Um, what else did I watch? It's like, uh, um, fuck. There's a few other ones that I watched, and I can't think. I'm gonna remember the name of them later on. But theme songs, come on! Like if you're gonna make a western, we gotta have a great theme song.
This is true.
That's the thing that's missing out of the of True Grit.
Like something like a rawhide. It's like True Grit.
Yes, thank you. It's just like
Yeah, yeah, okay. Fine, if you're gonna come up a bit for
oh, yeah, I was saying like shoot
if
out.
you're gonna come up for if you're gonna come up for Tombstone, I'll come up a bit for the man who shot Liberty Vance, and I'll bring it up to a 4.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel the same way.
Okay, because it is. Yeah, I understand your point about that scene. But I still stick by to my criticism. But I get what you mean about that scene, and it is very powerful. And so I will bring up my evaluation to a 4.
Now we're gonna talk about this in a future episode. If not on this show, then definitely on the main podcast. But Jimmy Stewart is a fucking legend.
Oh yeah. I knew before I even like really delve into his filmography. I knew a little bit about Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart's kind of a badass.
Yeah, I know because our friend of the podcast, Santa Claus, Daryl, wants to talk about Jimmy Stewart on an episode, so we might have to do that.
Okay, for sure. For sure. All right. All right. We made all amendments and we gave all our ratings. So.
And we are 1,000% doing another Western month at some point.
At some point, I don't disagree with you. But yeah, there you go. That's our review of True Grit, both of them. Both Robert and I give it a 4. Slight updates. Robert has now elevated Tombstone to a 4, and whereas I reciprocally have reevaluated my rating and brought my rating of The Man Who Shot Liberty Vance to a 4. So everything is right with the universe.
That scene, but it's okay. I'll still be your Huckleberry.
Right. Well, you'll always be my tenderfoot. All right. Well, that was the stream for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I had a good time. I know Rob had a good time.
I had a great fucking time.
We do this every Tuesday. I don't know. We might change times.
We're gonna probably move to 6:00. I think that might be the best, just so for lack of interruptions.
But yeah, we'll iron out the details, and if anything, we'll make an announcement on our social media accounts.
Yes.
But in the meantime, don't forget to check out the library of our other content, the Circular Jerks main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts. That's where we're going to be making the announcement beforehand of the time change, whether or not. Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. All right, with all that said, we thank you for joining us. Come back next week where we'll do it all over again.
Oh, we got a fun movie theme month for next month.
Ah, that's right.
The Tasty Slice month.
That's right, Tasty Slice.
Ooh, I can't wait.
All right, see you guys next week.